Welcome to Vedic Mathematics Basis-Based Values classes. We are in section 2 and in it we are in phase 9, means the phase 1 of the section 2. There are 8 phases of section 1 and it is the 9th phase, but first phase of section 2. Section 2 is about the transcendental domain. As we have been exposed in the previous lesson 49 that the transcendental chase is in respect of 5 space VMST. Previously we have been chasing in section 1 for the 4 space VMST. We have also noticed that 4 space VMST format is of hypercube-4 format, the representative regular body of a 4 space, and we also have been exposed that the hypercube-4 is of a spatial order and Lord Brahma presides the real 4 space. Lord Brahma is the creator, the supreme, and this value of section 1 essentially is mathematics, science and technology of number value 4. Number value 4 and 4 space together as such bring us face to face with the creator of the space, a real 4 space which is presided by Lord Brahma. Now in this present section 2 we are concentrating upon a transcendental domain, a 5 space. 5 space is presided by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a 5-head Lord. Each head of Lord Shiva is equipped with triple eyes. There are 5 heads. Each head is equipped with triple eyes. Lord Brahma is a 4-head Lord and each head is equipped with a pair of eyes. Therefore, the transition and transformation from the format of 4 space VMST to the format of 5 space VMST essentially is a transition from 4-head Lord of pair of eyes to 5-head Lord with triple eyes in each head. It is essentially a transition from the format of hypercube 4 to hypercube 5. We know that hypercube 4 is a 4-fold manifestation layer and the summation value of these quadruple values is 14. Hypercube 4 as well is a 4-fold manifestation layer. However, the summation value of these quadruple manifestation layers is 80. Therefore, in one way we can say that previously we have been chasing the values of Vedic mathematics, science and technology parallel to value 14, and now we will be chasing the values parallel to the value 18. Now we also know that the value 18 with its organization 3, 4, 5, 6, and when we have been through the text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, we had witnessed that these quadruple values 3, 4, 5 and 6 have not been specifically availed. As such, these quadruple values of summation value 18 as such are being used as a base. These values are in unmanifest form. It is on this unmanifest format of hypercube 5 that the creator's space mathematics, 4 space mathematics, the creation phenomenon in manifested form is being chased along the unmanifest format, and this unmanifest format is actually the format of hypercube 5. Therefore, hypercube 5 which is itself is a manifested creation, but this manifested creation remains in unmanifest form as a base. So it is upon this base that the creation phenomenon of 4-space VMST is being changed. Therefore, up till this stage of section 1, we have been chasing the existence phenomenon in its manifested form along the format of 4-space VMST. Now, in the present phase, in present section 2, and in the present phase, when we are chasing along the format of hypercube 5, then in fact we are concentrating upon the fifth fold, the fold which is at the base of the manifested creations. Therefore, unmanifest format, unmanifest base of the manifested creations is of specific focus here in this chase. Now, let us, in our notebook of 5-space VMST, open a page in which we should caption that now, today, in this lesson, our focus is going to be upon the format, features and values of the idol of Lord Shiv. The transcendental Lord Shiv is a 5-head Lord. Each head of Lord Shiva is equipped with a triple eyes, and Lord Shiva is having 10 beautiful arms, and within the cavity of heart of Lord Shiva is the seat of self-referral Lord Vishnu. Therefore, let us draw a table. In first column of that table, let us put up the features of idol of Lord Shiva, and in the second column, let us put up the features of hypercube 5. So, hypercube 5 is a 5-space body, and Lord Shiva is having 5 heads. Therefore, 5 heads of Lord Shiva's idol are parallel to the format, features and values of 5 dimensions. Each head of Lord Shiva is equipped with triple eyes. Therefore, each dimension in fact is a solid dimension. Triple eyes parallel to a solid order, so 3 space in the role of dimension. Lord Shiv is a 5-head Lord. 5 space has 5 dimensions. Each head of Lord Shiv is equipped with triple eyes. 5 space is a solid order space. Therefore, 3 space plays the role of dimension of hypercube 5. So, first fold 3 is parallel to 3 space, and it is playing the role of dimension fold. The Lord Brahma is Creator, the Supreme. We know that Lord Brahma sits comfortably and meditates within the cavity of his own heart. Within the cavity of heart is the seat of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma meditates upon transcendental Lord Shiv within the cavity of his own heart. And with the grace of transcendental Lord Shiv, Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. We can make a entry in our captions of features of idol of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and hypercube 5 as that the boundary of the transcendental domain is a creative boundary. The creative boundary of hypercube 5 is of 10 components. This feature and format is parallel to Lord Brahma sitting comfortably, having transcendental meditation within cavity of his own heart, and with the grace of transcendental Lord, Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. This phenomenon amounts to creation of a creative boundary for the transcendental domain. We shall have a pause here and take a specific comprehension, make an exhaustive note, a specific note, appreciative note with the proper evaluation, as that the phenomenon of transcendental meditation is the phenomenon of melting the boundary, the limitations of our intelligence field. Once Lord Brahma sits comfortably and meditates within the cavity of his own heart, and with the grace of transcendental Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. It amounts to that the solid boundary of hypercube 4 melts away, and instead fourth space as fourth space domain multiplies as 10 Brahmas, as 10 creative components, and these 10 Brahmas as 10 creative components constitute a creative boundary of the transcendental domain. Therefore, the students of Vedic mathematics have to learn this particular technique of meditating transcendentally. The transcendental meditation is the meditation the way Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. This meditation means that we shall sit comfortably, permit our mind to transcend within the cavity of our own heart, where is the seat of a transcendental Lord, and then with the grace of transcendental Lord Shiva, there would be a multiplication tenfold of the order of the multiplication of Lord Brahma as 10 Brahmas. It is this transition from a domain within a solid boundary to a domain within a creative boundary. It is the attainment, it is the reach, and it is this attainment, it is this reach, it is this success with which we can have a proper exposure, proper initiation for the Vedic order. To have a proper exposure and to have proper initiation for the Vedic order, we have to go the Brahman way, the way Lord Brahma meditates and multiplies tenfolds and melts away the solid boundary. The solid boundary of our intelligence field is to be melted, and instead there is to be attained a transition of the creative boundary. Therefore, once we are on this path of a transcendental meditation, and once we stand initiated properly, and once we meditate properly, then in the process we will be attaining the transcendental grace, and it would be of the format and features of solid boundary transiting and transforming into a creative boundary. Once this is attained, then we can bless ourselves, we can congratulate ourselves, and we can feel blissful that really we have been initiated for the Vedic order. So one shall make a specific note as that the proper initiation for a chase along 5-space VMST format is that we pray and we meditate. Further, let us make a specific note that prayer for this attainment is to be in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras. The augmented text of Ganita Sutras is a organization of the text of 16 sutras and 13 sutras in such a way that 13 sutras text is availed for bridging the gaps between the consecutive 16 sutras. The gap between Ganita Sutra 1 and Ganita Sutra 2 is to be bridged in terms of mathematics, mathematical domain, processing steps of Ganita Sutra 1. Like that, from Ganita Sutra 1 to Ganita Sutra 7, we will be filling the gaps, we will be bridging these particular gaps in terms of the mathematical domains of Ganita Upsutra 1 to Ganita Upsutra 7. And further, let us recapitulate that this argumentation of Ganita Sutras 1 to 7 and Ganita Upsutra 1 to 7 will take us the complete bridging, complete argumentations for the mathematical domains of Ganita Sutra 1 to Ganita Sutra 8. Then further, let us recapitulate that this argumentation will of its own inherently will bridge the gap of between Ganita Sutra 8 and 9. It is this automatic inherent feature of the gap between the Ganita Sutra 8 and Ganita Sutra 8 getting fulfilled of its own is the feature whose bliss, whose attainment, whose breakthrough will be visible to us. We will be face to face with this particular phenomenon. We will be imbibing this particular feature. We will be attaining this particular bliss only when we will regularly start meditating in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras. And then further, the remaining sutras 9 to 16 and remaining Upsutras 8 to 13 as well when would be availed, then these sutras will sequentially take us to fulfill the gaps between Ganita Sutra 9 to Ganita Sutra 15. And again, this argumentation, this second phase of argumentation will bring in inherent potentiality of the augmented text prayers, that the gap between Ganita Sutra 15 and Ganita Sutra 16 will wither away of its own, and there would be a complete augmentation. Here, in the context of the end reach potentiality of gap between Ganita Sutra 15 and 16 getting fulfilled of its own, this inherent feature is essentially as the text of Ganita Upsutra 13 is of a pairs of daimonads. Ganita Samuchya is a daimonad and Samuchya Gunita as well is a daimonad, and both are in opposite orientation. It is this simultaneous availability of a pair of paired daimonads in opposite orientations which brings in the miracle. It is this inherent feature of the augmented text which deserves to be imbibed well. Therefore, let us make a specific note as that the prayer of augmented text is of such inherent features, of which two are that the gap between Ganita Sutra 8 and Ganita Sutra 9, as well as the gap between Ganita Sutra 15 and Ganita Sutra 16 gets fulfilled of its own. The another prominent feature is that, as we had seen, that the processing steps of the mathematical domains of Ganita Sutras 1 to 16 are sequentially in the setup or the organization of first letter of Ganita Sutra 1, pair of letters of Ganita Sutra 2, and like that we have to reach up till the 16 letters of Ganita Sutra 16. In the process, let us have a pause and revisit the situation as that Ganita Sutra 9 is a complete text of 9 letters only. Once there is an availability of only 9 letters, but the processing steps are to be for this domain as of 10 letters reach. The 10th letter as such makes a transition from the linear order to a circumferential order. It takes us to a cyclic order. Therefore, it is this inherent feature of the organization of the text of Ganita Sutras that Ganita Sutra 9 is a text which takes to Ganita Sutra 10 And Ganita Sutra 10 is a 9-letter scriptures, requires 10 letters for processing, and the 10th letter stands supplied inherently because of the transition from the linear order to a cyclic order. It is this inherent availability, transition and transformation from the linear order to a cyclic order, which is the feature which deserves to be imbibed thoroughly, completely, to have an appropriate insight and to have an appropriate enlightenment. Once these features are glimpsed fully, then when we will be taking the next step of a transcendental meditation, then we have to remind ourselves, we have to be conscious as that the unified state of our mathematical mind is of a linear order, which is up till the state of 7 steps long, parallel to 7 geometries format of 3 space. Therefore, thereafter we have to transit from linear order 3 space of 7 geometries format to a spatial order 4 space of 9 geometries range. With this transition, which is going to be attained from linear order to spatial order with the prayers of the augmented text, a next step, when we will be entering a transcendental meditation, then we are creating a creative envelope for our unified state. So it is this creation of creative envelope for our intelligence field within our mind of a unified state. It is this creation which will make us entitled for the transcendental grace. It is this attainment of the transcendental grace which is going to be parallel to the transcendental grace being availed by Lord Brahma. Therefore, when we are transiting and transforming from the format of 4 space Vedic Mathematics, Science and Technology, then essentially we are urging for and actually we are attaining the transcendental grace, and as a result thereof we are creating a creative envelope for our mind. It is this creative envelope for our intelligence field which is to do whole range of remaining wonders. The entire transcendental wonders happen only because of the transcendental grace. This transcendental grace is an attainable step. Sadhakas, the students of Vedic Mathematics, Science and Technology, shall make a specific note that entitlement for transcendental grace is a effort, is a progressive step. It is a purusharth. It is the attainment. Therefore, the students of Vedic Mathematics, Science and Technology have to approach Vedic systems the Vedic way. And this Vedic way is that we shall provide a creative envelope for our unified state of our mind. Therefore, the intelligence field shall be firstly provided a creative envelope. Once the creative envelope stands provided in terms of repeated prayers, in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras and Up Sutras, then in the next phase, sequentially but regularly, one is to go for the transcendental meditation. The Vedic way of the transcendental meditation is the way adopted by Lord Brahma. The transcendental meditation is to be in terms of as per the format, as per the features, as per the values, as per the technique, as per the methodology, that one is to meditate within cavity of one's own heart. Once one meditates within the cavity of one's own heart, where is a seat of the transcendental Lord, then with the grace of the transcendental Lord, the sadhakas multiply the evolution field within a creative envelope as the order of the transcendental multiplication attained by Lord Brahma. Therefore, once this phase and stage is attained, then really one should feel that one is on the track of, on the path of the 5-space VMST. Therefore, 5-space VMST requires, number one, that one shall regularly meditate in terms of the augmented text of Ganita Sutras. The second phase and stage is that one goes to transcendental meditation sequentially and regularly and continuously, and with it when one will be attaining a static state for the transcendental domain, which otherwise is in the role of the transcendental origin of a 4th space. Once it is attained, then the transcendental field around the transcendental origin of a creator space, it will work within a creative boundary, and this phase and stage will amount to that the intelligence growth within creative boundary because of the field around the transcendental origin will be of the format and features of the order of Lord Brahma multiplying tenfold. It is this multiplication which will take to the creative boundary of hypercube 5. With it, the 5-space domain will get enveloped within hypercube 4. Therefore, it will give us a formulation a raised to power 5 is to 10 raised to power 4. Therefore, 3 space as a dimension, 4 space as a boundary, and 5 space as a domain. After these, then the next stage is to reach at self-referral origin. It is this phase and stage of self-referral origin which will sequentially make it as that the 5-space domain with 6 space as a origin because of the creative order which is of a spatial order. So because of this, there will happen a visfot, there will happen a transition and transformation for the 5-space domain when being free of its all the creative boundary. So 5-space domain as the 11th geometry, the 11th geometry of 5-space with hypercube 5 in its 11th version will be a 5-space domain free of its entire creative boundary, and with it there will be a visfot and 6 space will come out and it will make a range of value 16. Therefore, while we will be sequentially reaching up till the processing step of Ganita Sutra 16, the mathematical domain of Ganita Sutra 16, which we know is having a processing steps of all these 16 letters of the scripture of Ganita Sutra 16. All these 16 letters of the text of Ganita Sutra 16 together providing us the 16 processing steps. So it is this end reach fruit of this reprocessing reach will ultimately take us to 6 space as the origin fold. Therefore, during this phase, essentially what we are initiating for, what we are urging for which we are being exposed, for which we are training ourselves, which we are desiring, is that we shall have a transition from 4 space to 5 space, from hypercube 4 to hypercube 5, from spatial order to solid order, from Lord Brahma's order to Lord Shiva's order, from number value 4 to number value 5. And for this attainment, we have to go by the augmented text, and then we have to have a transcendental meditation. And this, both these features, both these attempts, both these steps, both these exercises, and this whole phenomenon of learning is such that essentially what we are doing is that we are melting our mental states, the mental state of a linear order, a mental state of a spatial order, both are being melted. And instead, we are transiting and transforming into a solid order. This solid order creates a transcendental domain, and this transcendental domain is enveloped within a creative boundary. Now, transcendental domain enveloped within a creative boundary. This creative boundary is of 10 components. Once this creative boundary is stripped off, once these creative boundary components are stripped off, they dimensionalize the outside space as a 6 space. And 11th version amounts to a split for the 5 space domain and creating a value 16. Therefore, by the end, when all the strips would be stripped off, all the creative boundary components will get stripped off, and sequentially we will be reaching up till the mathematical domain of the 16 Ganita Sutras. Then and only at that particular stage, and it is at this end reach point only we will be feeling blissful that we have been successful to attain the requisite transition and transformation from the limitations of the spatial order of 4 space, and we will be feeling that we are entering the transcendental domain of a solid order. So ultimate aim of the chase of the present section 2 48 lessons is, we are on the second lesson today. So in these 48 steps, our whole attempt is, our urge is, our anxiety is, we wish for that we shall be successful to melt away the spatial order for our intelligence field and reach a solid order for our intelligence field. It is this solid order which will be creating a transcendental domain enveloped within a creative boundary. The same ultimately at the 11th version of Hypercube 5 will be of the order, values and format, where there will be a complete melting away of the spatial order and there will be a complete sway of the solid order. Once we are in this fortunate state, then we can say that we are approaching the Vedic way, the Vedic mathematics, Vedic science and technology of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. Solar universe existence phenomenon as a transcendental domain is the reach for which we are urging. It is for it that we are exposing ourselves. It is here that when we are sequentially taking these steps. Therefore, let us have a pause here, let us sit comfortably and let us start re-evaluating ourselves, firstly sequentially in the form of 48 lessons as 48 chase steps of section 1, and then let us glimpse as that we have basically reached the spatial order of the approach. Now from that spatial order approach of 48 steps, 40 in terms of 48 lessons, now our urge is that we shall even melt away this spatial order. For melting this spatial order as well, we have to vigorously be conscious and we have to continuously take these steps, of which also are going to be 48 in number, and these 48 steps for which we are today at the second step only, then our urge is going to be that we shall completely melt away the spatial order of our intelligence field, and instead we should provide a solid order for our intelligence field. Once our intelligence field acquires the solid order, then we can say that we are along the format of 5 space Vedic Mathematics, Science and Technology, of which 3 space is solid order is only a first manifestation layer. The second manifestation layer is a fourth space which plays the role of a boundary, so it will be creating a creative envelope for our intelligence field. After that, we will be glimpsing the five space domain, transcendental domain. This transcendental domain in its 11th version of Hypercube 5 is a transcendental domain free of its entire creative boundary. Once entire creative boundary stands stripped off, then the five space domain itself will be splitting itself, duplicating itself as a pair of five space domains, and the self-referral origin, six space origin, will transcend out. It is this stage of self-referral origin transcending out from the five space domain which will be the signal of the attainment. Therefore, till we have this signal, till we glimpse this, till we imbibe this, till we appreciate this, till it becomes the process of our attainment. So, reaching a stage when the self-referral origin of five space domain transcends out of a five space domain. Till then, we have to continuously remain on the chase path, and this chase path we are learning, and it is the path of approaching the human intelligence, evolving within our brain as permitting its transition and transformation by a prayer as a text of augmented text of Ganita Sutras, and then a transcendental meditation, the way Lord Brahma meditated. Therefore, let us make it specific that our urge for melting the spatial boundary and to have a transition for the solid order will be complete only with the reach when the self-referral origin, six spaces origin, will transcend itself out of a five space domain. So the self-referral origin transcending out, creative boundary melting away, and self-referral origin being of a creative dimensional order. Therefore, the three space order will transit and transform into a four space order. And it is this end reach, it is this blissful reach for which we are urging, and for it we are taking steps. Therefore, now sit and take the step of transcendental meditation. So continuously pray, continuously transcend, and sequentially urge for attaining the stage that the spatial order melts away and the self-referral origin of the transcendental domain transcends out, and there is an attainment which we are urging for. Thank you very much.